Alright guys, so book 6 has brought us a cow, which will be covered in a future video, a brand new mode, and tons to talk about. Oh boy. Is this new mode really any fun? Can you get anything out of it besides rewards in a form of soul? Or is it actually the potential for a lot of gameplay and a lot of fun for maybe some of you? Let's talk about it.
Let the lesson begin.
What's up guys, Akariss here, bringing you another Fire Emblem Heroes video. Today's video is, as you no doubt can tell by the title and the intro and where we are, that this is a Summoner Duels video. However, I want to preface this video by telling you guys that the mode is so young, obviously like 2 or 3 days old, that I'm not going to come here trying to tell you what the meta is, what the best units are, or anything of that nature yet. I mean, I haven't played it enough, and people in general haven't played it enough to truly know what is the best strategy or what will win most of the games. So I'm not going to come at you with those sort of things, but I will definitely try to give you my impressions, my thoughts, and definitely some tips and whatnot, which has worked for me, and from the seemingly success rate of others, what has worked for them as well. Now, mind you, this brand new mode, which if you don't know, Summoner Duels is a live PvP mode, quite akin to something like chess.com, honestly, where there's a hard time limit and you got to make your moves and you just take turns making moves. Instead of moving all your characters like traditional Fire Emblem and then it's enemy phase, it's actually one piece at a time. You move something, they move something, you move something, they move something. And you can't even take advantage of continuous action type of stuff like Gale Force or dual skills or anything like that. That counts as an action, and then the enemy gets to do something. The only exception truly to this is going to be Kanto, which you can then move right away after taking your action. That, of course, will be talked about in this video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to talk about my thoughts, my feelings about this mode, how I've experienced it so far. I'm going to share with you my gameplay footage, which will actually just play on the side there. That's all on Twitch, so if you want to see me play quite a lot over many hours, I do actually do this now pretty much daily on Twitch, so come check me out. I'm definitely having quite a bit of fun with many hours to burn, and I'm not even paying attention to the reward structure or anything like that, but yes, I will address it in this video. So, where do we begin? So, I've been playing the Summoner Duels, I'd say at least over maybe 6 to 8 hours combined of gameplay now. Probably racked up over 50 to 60 games or so, and I'd say I'm somewhere at about like 75-80% win rate. I don't know, because the game doesn't actually tell you your loss count, which I wish it did, so I could give you a harder number here. But generally speaking, I win most of my games, and there's even cases where I'm definitely winning against players who have plus 10 to all units. In fact, the current game shown over there is plus 10 everything. So, yeah, I think it's plus 10 everything. But anyways, there's definitely been a lot of these situations, and there is lots to learn and take away from this mode. If you enjoy like strategy games, you enjoy chess, like you enjoy what Fire Emblem kind of is supposed to be about, like this feels pretty close to it, at least in my opinion. I'm really getting a lot of this experience. I'm not compelled to summon for anything. I'm not compelled to rank. I'm just genuinely having fun out of this experience. So yeah, I'll take a moment to remind you guys to smash like button and sub, because I didn't do so a few seconds ago. So go ahead and do that right now so that you can turn it blue and of course help out the YouTube algos. Anyways, back to on topic here. So I've been running with Team Captain Tiki, Ashnerd, Ninjorin, Summershida, and Loki. Now, if you don't understand the rules to this Summoner Duels, it's pretty hard for me to go over everything exactly. I went through some of the actions and turn-based stuff, but effectively there are 5 total turns. You take turns with your opponent swapping actions. You get zone points within that square in the middle if you have 2 more units inside of it over your opponent. And since you both have 5, as long as you have 4 units in there, you will not be giving your opponent extra points. That is why you're actually seeing my Loki completely distanced from the rest of my team, because he is unable to take zone points. Zone points are 2 per total turn. And for the most part, every kill that you get on your opponent is also 2 points, except the captain, which gives you 3. So this is how this whole thing is balanced, and to be honest, I feel it is pretty balanced. I haven't, again, felt oppressed by anything in particular being an over-dominating strategy where I'm like, oh man, I can't win because they have this. If anything, it feels a bit like rock, paper, scissors, where certain units definitely have advantages over others, and that's to be expected out of a game that has a weapon triangle, and certain effectiveness damage over others. Realistically, yes, blue beats red, or green beats blue, like that actually is a thing depending on the units chosen. So for example, Brave Micaiah will smash my Tiki, or Brave Eirika will smash my Ashnard pretty decisively. But the thing is, even with my opponents having these sort of units, I can have counterplay where I can likely use my Summer Sheeta to kill a Brave Eirika, make a trade, or if someone kills my Ashnard and runs away, again with Brave Eirika, something like Ninjoran could potentially clean up, or, Brave Eirika snipes Brave Micaiah snipes Tiki, then Ashnard can potentially go in and out because he has Trace as well. So there's just a lot of cool aspects to this mode that do make it very dynamic and fulfilling to play for. That's just my opinion on this. But I do want to obviously talk about more to it, what exactly is involved, and the reward structure as well. So let's start a little bit by talking about these special skills, captain skills. Captain skills are effectively, right now at least, 3 different skills, which are the Earth Rendering, Adroit Captain, and Secret Maneuver. I've seen quite a lot of success out of Earth Rendering and Secret Maneuver, depending on what people's comps are. And that's the beauty of these skills. I don't necessarily think any of them are the best, because I don't even think certain units are necessarily the best. Like, there's no, you need this unit or team to succeed. That doesn't really exist at this time, to be expected, because there is not really a meta yet that I'm going to be pushing for, or that other people are necessarily pushing for. There's definitely just strong units and what to use. So with these skills, depending on the sort of team comp you make, some of the skills are going to be better than others. For example, Earth Rendering here moves that white square zone that you see towards you if you have it over your opponent and your captain is in that zone. Moving that whole square zone towards your side of the map forces your opponent to play aggressively and try to put their units inside. Plus, you generally have a terrain advantage as well, because you are, if you just look at my side of the map, like the water, the trench and such, you will usually cause your opponent to make a mistake because of that. And I appreciate that. I think it works really well in a defensive type team. So what I'm running here with Farsave and Ashnard, and then counterplay involving Sheeta and Ninjoran, kind of like player phase and enemy phase strats, that's how I like this skill. However, I've seen success out of Secret Maneuver as well, especially for more player phase type of teams where they're just going in for big nukes and getting that special acceleration every turn, which is also really good. But on top of that, it disables skills akin to something like Brammy, so of course that'll shut down someone like Ashnard from supporting Tiki, and Tiki becomes pretty easy to snipe because of something like Secret Maneuver. But I feel that one is definitely better in player phase strategies, which means, what this means, guys, is that in this mode so far, I feel like strategies that are mostly focused on player phase or mixed, meaning if you have some sort of way of going in and killing something and essentially running out as well, if possible, through the use of Kanto, are very good strategies. Whereas defensive strategies, pure defensive strategies, just enemy phasing stuff, I haven't seen work to like at all degree. If you're running like a save armor, and then you're running like a bunch of support on that save armor, such as like Flame and I don't know, just stacking stats, Lancina, trying to do all that. The problem with that sort of team is your opponent isn't going to attack into you. They're not. They're going to try to outmaneuver you through the use of something like Earth Rendering, or potentially snipe a unit when you have to commit to something to potentially draw out a tie. You can probably force ties with complete enemy phase strategies, but trying to get kills is not likely, or much more difficult, which is why I've combined in my team, for example, player phase plus enemy phase, so that I'm able to actually hold my own on the enemy phase and not have them run all over me with player phase strategies, but also have Sheeta and Ninjoran come in and potentially counterplay trade or snipe units if they're out of position, which is what this team that I'm trying to put together has worked so far for me. But I've definitely seen player phase heavy strategies, stuff using like Yuri, Pathfinder, dual Peony, just very heavy aggressive without no enemy phase, work as well because they can just force bad positioning on enemy phase teams and get kills. So unlike something like Ether Raids and Arena, where definitely enemy phase strategies like just dominate, I don't really feel like that works yet in this. Now, again, meta may change. Things definitely are open to interpretation, but for the most part, that's what I've seen, which is why Earth Rendering and Secret Maneuver are really good, because they will give the advantage to a player phase type of strategy in one way or another by being able to get your opponent out of position. Remember, live players versus AI. Nobody's going to attack into your Edelgard. Nobody's going to attack into your Hector. They're still good for different reasons, but not just like AI smashing their face in, doing 0 damage. Nobody's really going to do that. Finally, this last captain skill here is Adroit Captain, which pretty much has like the legendary Byleth effect of giving no follow-up to to the captain and allies within 2 spaces, and an extra speed. Not sure how to feel about this one. I haven't really seen it been used to success yet by my opponents or any replays that I've viewed so far, so I'm gonna kind of put it on the back burner for now. It's definitely not as explored as the other ones, and because of that, I'm not really gonna say it's good or bad. It just, again, game mode is way too young for me to give an opinion on something that I haven't seen used effectively yet. So if you watched yesterday's Weapon Refined video, you know that I talked extensively about Loki, and this is my Loki. Pretty budget, guys. Pretty budget. In fact, so budget, it's bad. Minus HP, Wings of Mercy with the Refine. Yeah, you'd think that like I'm missing, HP hits on different units, but realistically, like my minus HP Loki has been hitting like every single unit minus a few every few games. So it matters sometimes, but since the mode itself isn't like pressured for you to there's not like a ranking system, or you're not really losing anything on a loss. There's not really much reason for me to be spending resources on Loki, but she's definitely a very good unit here. And there's definitely other support type units as well that work that I've seen people use effectively, but my long range support definitely is Loki. And with being able to use Stall Ploy, Gravity, and Guard, you really annoy your opponent, and that can help set up a lot of wins. The rest of my team, as you guys can see, is again a combination of enemy phase and player phase, Tiki and Asher being primarily enemy phase, with Corrin and Cheetah being player phase. That mix definitely helps me have more play options as opposed to just being full turtle or full aggression, which may not work depending on your opponent's team. I just like a fairly generalist strategy, nothing too crazy, and it's worked for me. And by the way, summoner support and ally support work in this mode, so farm it up if you really want to optimize. Those of you that have Fed Pass, yes, you can literally pay to win more often. Thankfully, there's not really much at stake for paying to win other than ego, I guess. But yeah, that is a bit of an annoyance that summoner support works at all, to be honest. It definitely will matter in many matchups, as my Tiki has been surviving quite a few things because of it. Oh, and that reminds me, when it comes to team captain choices, you want to make sure you pick a unit that's extremely bulky, that you're not going to trade off, and likely won't die to many things, which is why Tiki is my captain. But other than that, yeah. As you can see, I've shared this Tiki quite a bit. Ascended, attack speed, boons, very, very tanky speed res form. Divine Mist combined with Ashered is minus 18 attack whenever someone attacks into Tiki, as she far saves the whole team. In my opinion, I feel like far save is the better save skill, since range units generally threaten more space than melee units, so you control more space with far save than you would with near save, generally speaking. You can only pick one in this mode. So I've been playing quite a bit. As you can see here, this screenshot is as of today. I've reached under top 10, but again, people are playing, and it's more of a grind type of effect in rankings as opposed to win or loss or ELO or anything like that. So the more you play, the more favor you get, the more rewards you get, and I guess it just tracks your combination of favor, which caps at 1,000 per hero, and your win count as a secondary measure, total win count without showing losses, and that is your ranking as well. So if you want to take your favorite character, try to make a strategy among them, you can hit these leaderboards, and your character can be shown up to others here, which is kind of cool. Very cool, actually. And I want to experiment with different strategies as well because of this system, encouraging me to use different units, different captains, and I will share what I feel works and what doesn't work, meta builds, meta characters, in future videos, especially as this mode gets expanded, and if you guys enjoy it. If you enjoy the video, of course, there's a good way to do it. Like button, really. So anyways, again, I'm just really talking about the mode, giving my opinions on it. The reward system I feel is a bit flawed though, since it does you just reach 1,000 favor and then you're done. You don't even have to play the mode anymore. There was a Twitter post that said that they're going to be expanding the rewards above 1,000, and I don't know how to feel about that, because if they just keep doing that, then as like a new player, there would be a lot to play with over the long term, which I guess is good, but the problem is it doesn't incentivize like current players from playing it beyond just reaching that cap reward tier and then stopping. If you don't like the mode, then you technically don't have to play it, but that also means that the player base involved with this will just be those that enjoy or maybe are hardcore about the mode, as opposed to those, like, you should try to encourage both a casual and hardcore player base in this, so that, you know, someone new comes in isn't just completely smashed by everyone who's been playing this for months or years. So I do feel they need to add some sort of like weekly incentive maybe, or daily incentive. Just play a game, play 2-3 games, get like an orb or something, you know, just have that incentive for people to play, and probably like also make sure that they win, I guess, just so people aren't just auto-surrendering for the rewards. So again, I'm not a designer. I'm not going to try to come in here telling you how it should be done, but there definitely should be some long-term incentive for people to at least play it daily. And it's not really that much of a time commitment. Most matches are like 5 to 10 minutes, especially on the first mistake. Someone might surrender. So yeah, I mean, that is definitely flawed with the reward system. They're really good rewards right now. There's stuff like hundreds of flowers, hundreds of codes, hundreds of divine dew, a form of soul, and I don't expect them to add literally those rewards more and more, but they definitely should incentivize people to play the mode long term. Anyways, so I wanted to give you guys my kind of final thoughts here about some of the units that work, and hopefully get you guys thinking about how you want to put together a team. Because again, I'm sharing my team, but obviously not everyone is going to have those sort of units or strategies or even know how to use it. A lot of this does come up to player skill as opposed to just enemy phase. Not the things like you'd work with in AR or Arena may not be the same, or how you'd use them here. So it's really important that you try to make use of what you can throughout your barracks. And what I'll do is I'll definitely share with you guys some of the stronger units that I feel you could put in this mode. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, far save, in my opinion, is better than near save because of enemies generally, range enemies generally having more threat, and therefore far save covers that better than something like near save. I really haven't seen near save much at all, to be honest. And, well, it's pretty obvious that the better of the far save heroes, or a lot of the better ones, are still going to work in this mode, which is something like Brave Hector and Ascended Fjorm, who I'm not going to show here, but generally speaking, good far save armors are still good in this mode. And in my case, I'm just using Tiki, but again, she has counterplay. As you see, actually in the current match there's a Happy and a Brave Micaiah, so my Tiki will struggle to far save that sort of stuff, but somebody like Brave Hector might not, just because he doesn't have armor weakness, because he's not an armor, and he could even use stuff like Hardy Fighter with Aegis to just literally not die. So it depends, as I said, you know, rock, paper, scissors, some stuff beats others, and someone like Hector is good if you have him. Another really good strategies I've seen, especially player phase oriented strategies, is the use of Pathfinder. So not shown here is Note, but Dogger is really good as well. So if you have these sisters who provide Pathfinder, they are good setup units where you can definitely cover a lot of range and threaten your opponent's space quite a bit. This is especially effective when you have like 2 units behind the Pathfinder unit, something like Brave Eirika and like Reginn, covering blue-green threats overlapping range, and it's very, very oppressive if you can set something up like that. So if you like player phase strategies or you want to make good use of Pathfinder, I do recommend potentially considering strats involving the Giant Sisters. No surprise here, we have Yuri with Kanto and a recently released unit. Now the thing is, Kanto that has a set amount is more powerful than trace effects. And the reason for that is because you generally want to use the max range of your character. So Yuri, Reginn, Summoner Duels, for example, all have set Kanto effects, and Yuri has, of course, 2 move Kanto within turn 1 to 4. Something will happen by then, and Yuri will like go in, attack something potentially, and then get out. Being able to hit and run is very powerful in this mode, so of course Yuri is really good. So is Dual Leaf, who has a set in Kanto, so is Summoner Duels, etc. Range units in particular are a little bit better with this, because when they use their full movement out of their trace, they cannot move at all. With units like Dual Leaf and Yuri, they still get to move even if they've used their max range, and because of that, they are really powerful. Next up on, well, no surprise here, but a lot of people likely have Brave Eirika. She's really good here. I don't even think I have to explain why, but a very powerful player phase unit, pretty much wins against most matchups, including those that you think that you would lose to, such as greens, but she ends up winning many of those too, especially with pre-charged specials by the nature of her preference B skill and her weapon, of course, with damage reduction. All of those factors definitely help her win quite a bit of matchups, and she has that set Kanto, which of course helps. Happy, again, effectiveness against all beasts and dragons, pre-charging specials. Doesn't have set Kanto, but generally speaking that's overcome by the fact that her tome is really good, her attack stat's really good, and that she does come with trace, so you can kind of make it work, but again, there are so many examples of this, guys, and honestly you can use quite a lot of characters to get a lot of success, so don't feel like just because I'm listing these characters that there isn't something that you know, maybe you have trace on and want to use. In fact, if you do, just feel free to share it in the comments below and what's been working for you. I'd love to read it and get even more opinions. I'm just sharing what I've seen work by other players. I'm trying not to be too biased here because I know that stuff like Happy and Brave Micaiah are just generally good against what I have, but maybe they're not that good against, I don't know, someone using, let's say, Brave Hector. So trying not to, but I think that someone like Happy can get a lot of value against a lot of different units and her nuking potential. Next up is something like Dual Peony. I feel like she's like hands down the best dancer in this mode, maybe competing a little bit with Legendary Zora's extra movement, but Dual Peony is really good because she effectively can dance twice, and that is through her, of course, Gentle Dream, providing orders effects, long range attack buff, and of course the dual skill, which can give you even another action. Remember that using the dual skill though does take one of your actions and gives your opponent a turn, so it still requires a bit of setup and thought. It's not as mindless as you might think, but still, if there's like a dancer you really wanted to use, then Dual Peony is by far the best one, I'd say. Again, another F2P kind of option is Reginn. Really simple as that. Recharge special, has damage reduction, and a set move 3 move Kanto, which I think Reginn basically dominates besides Oder, which by the way, Oder is pretty good here too, but she's red, and he's green, and Eirika's blue. So if you have any of those, definitely consider using them here. And finally, another F2P long-range option that I actually saw quite a few times and worked quite well a few times. So similar to how I'm using Loki in my gameplay here, I've seen people use Veld from long range and be extremely annoying because his tome has an effect every single turn and hits different stats every single turn, providing gravity. And gravity, as you may not be surprised by, is very strong in this mode to lock down mobility and limit options for your opponent. Veld works pretty well for this. There are other F2P options for this as well that don't even have to be Veld that I haven't even mentioned, such as Fallen Takumi could be really good. I feel like Solon can be pretty good as well. Garnef, once he gets his refined very soon as well. Like these like columns, cardinal direction type of stuff where you can really use like support from long range is really good. So yeah, as I said from the beginning of this video, that basically covers everything. Feel free to check me out on Twitch if you want to see my approach to this mode, what I'm using, and how much fun I'm getting out of it. I do hope they expand on this mode and kind of maybe make minor touches to it, maybe add additional maps, maybe change the reward structure, get people playing, because I don't want it to just be like the hardcore mode and only hardcore players play it. They definitely want to encourage casual players to play it as well, but of course not like spending hours to play it. Just like a little bit of gameplay every day or maybe a couple times a week, I feel is really important to keep this kind of mentality and approach healthy for people to play long term. So yeah, and of course Yuri here, preset Kanto guys. But also other reasons. Anyways, so yeah, this is all I have for now. I am definitely going to be covering potentially Summoner Duel builds, how I experience the mode as I keep playing it, and share with you guys some strategies and builds in future videos. If you did actually enjoy it, then, you know, best thing you can do. Seriously, just press the button, okay? That's it. Thank you for watching as always. Do that. Sub if you haven't already. If you love me and you love the content I produce and the amount of effort and time I put into this to provide it for you guys, then sincerely consider the Patreon. That's all I ask. Love you all. See you in the next one. Peace.
It's over.